Sara Teasdale, born in 1884 in St. Louis, Missouri, gained recognition for her well-crafted lyrical poetry, often centered on the themes of beauty, love, and death. Despite later criticism and really exclusion from literary canons, Teasdale was popular in her lifetime and achieved all kinds of praise, such as the Pulitzer Prize for Poetry in 1918 for her collection entitled Love Songs. Teasdale's poetry is noted for its lyric simplicity and delicate craftsmanship. Viewed in its entirety, her work chronicles a woman's emotional development from youthful idealism through disillusionment, and finally an acceptance of death. Due to her mother's concerns when she was a young girl, Teasdale received her education at home until about the age of 9. Left to her own devices, she immersed herself in a world of dreams, as she once recounted, spending countless hours envisioning the romantic possibilities that lay ahead in her life. Although Teasdale nurtured romantic fascinations with men, her most significant relationships were with women. After completing her college education at Hosmer Hall in St. Louis, she joined forces with several other young women to establish a literary group called the Potters, and together they published a monthly magazine called The Potter's Wheel, which featured Teasdale's early poems. Teasdale's earliest inspiration came from the poet Christina Rossetti, a poet whose lyrical style and feminine perspective greatly appealed to her. During this period, many of Teasdale's works were dedicated to specific women, although their identities were often concealed. Her first notable achievement was a collection of enthusiastic sonnets praising Eleanora Duse, a renowned actress. These sonnets were included in her initial collection called Sonnets to Duse and Other Poems, which appeared in 1907. As Teasdale's life progressed, her reverence for beauty and love gradually gave way to frustration and really almost an obsession with death. Struggling between a longing for love and a need for solitude, she gradually retreated slowly from an active life and did grow rather depressed. This internal conflict, which had really persisted since early childhood, is reflected in her work Dark of the Moon. Even in her collection Strange Victory, published after her death in 1933, Teasdale's psychic pain remains evident. The Poetry Foundation notes that critics have begun giving Teasdale more serious attention. For example, critic Melissa Gerard argues that aspects of Teasdale's poetry have been neglected and overlooked, including her anti-war poetry from World War I. Now, her most famous of these poems is There Will Come Soft Rains, which was published in her collection Flame and Shadow, and you'll note that the poem bears the label Wartime underneath its title. There Will Come Soft Rains portrays the horrors of war from the perspective of nature, emphasizing the resilience of creatures like birds and frogs and trees who will continue their lives even if humanity winds up destroying itself. At the end of the 20th century, Teasdale began receiving more attention both from the reading public and from scholars. Upon the 1984 publication of the collection Mirror of the Heart, Poems of Sara Teasdale, critic J. Overmyer said of Teasdale's poetry that her, quote, simply stated thoughts are complex and reverberate in the mind. As a literary critic in the New York Times wrote on the anniversary of Teasdale's birth, while Teasdale has often been categorized as a love poet and seen as a traditionalist who did not embrace the modernist movement, She played a significant role in a different avant-garde movement that may gain recognition in the future, that of women poets who defied prevailing trends to develop a distinctly feminine voice.